All right, so good to have the PWHL back tonight after the international break with the rivalry series and the European tournament. We've got Toronto visiting in Boston, and then we have Ottawa visiting Minnesota. So we're going to recap these quickly for you. Of course, the first big storyline is that there was a trade on Super Bowl Sunday. Kind of weird timing, but it broke that evening that Sophie Jakes was traded from Boston to Minnesota for Abby Cook and Susanna Tapani, and I gave a reaction to that. I'll put the link here so you can check that out. But overall, my impression is that Boston is giving up on a young player with a huge upside for a really solid center and versatile scoring forward, and Abby Cook, who's just a good depth defender, and we'll have to watch and see how this plays out. Interestingly, they're in action tonight with their new teams. So with the game in Boston starting first, let's take a look there. And we do have Tapani wearing number 88. And of course, going into the break and even continuing through the rivalry series, the hottest player all around is Natalie Spooner, Mama Spoons herself, who is now the leading goal scorer in the PWHL. So both teams looking to build some momentum as we get into the middle part of this season. In the first period, it was a little bit back and forth, but as the first line jumps on the ice, Emma Malte makes a drive down the middle and throws it towards the net, where it takes a bounce, and Sarah Nurse is able to pick that up and put that up high over Emma Soderberg. With some good hand-eye coordination there. Soderberg didn't really have much chance on that, and it's great to see Nurse get on the board. She's been struggling just a little bit, but I think the rivalry series has really helped her out. So 1-0 for Toronto. And the shots were actually 11-6 for Boston, and a low event period overall. Another bright spot for Toronto is that Kristen Campbell looks like she's rounding into form and is finding her game. She looks a little more aggressive and is keeping things clean in there for Toronto, as Boston is out shooting them 16-6 at this point. Toronto's penalty killing has been doing a great job, and when they let someone get in, penetrate the box, Campbell is there to make the save like she does here on Megan Keller. So at the tail end of the penalty comes a really nice play by our quiet favorite, Lauriane Rougeau, who headmans this puck up to Natalie Spooner, and you know that she's got the hot stick, and nice little move, finds that open side next to Soderberg's pad, and makes it 2-0. But credit to Lauriane Rougeau for that great pass. She just got her head up and took a look and found Spooner streaking in, so a big assist to her on that one. And that's Spooner's 8th goal of the season. And then there was an unfortunate collision here, which was called a penalty, but it didn't look like anything truly intentional other than just Monroe just trying to ride Sophie Shirley out of the play, but there's that stanchion where the boards and glass meet. Luckily, it's rounded, so she caught that and looked like her head and neck kind of took the force of the collision, so she did not return to the game, and we're waiting an update on that. Hopefully she's okay. We really don't want to see injuries in this game. We want everybody to be healthy and to get all players playing at their best. And then just at the end of that Boston power play, it comes again to Natalie Spooner, who simply digs and wants the puck more than the defenders do. It's not a shorthanded goal or a jailbreak goal, but it's some great work there by Sarah Nurse, who cuts across the middle, finds Spooner wide open, and she is able to stick handle in a tight spot there. A little bit of a lucky bounce, but she's got her 9th goal of the season. You'd have to say that Toronto is looking a lot more like the team we thought they'd be at the beginning of the season. The Team Canada players are showing strong. So on into the third, where there's a bit of a bounce right to the stick of Maggie Connors. She gets the shot off, but probably not where she wanted to place it. She's gaining confidence from also being named to Team Canada. And it's kept in the zone nicely there by Tapani. Goes over to Schaafsal, who gets a shot and a weird bounce up in the air, right onto the stick of Rattray. That's a goal scorer's luck right there. And she's happy that's her 2nd of the season. And Boston's on the board and feeling like they've got some hope with still 14 minutes left in the third period. go to the net. That's where the goals are. That's what Rattray does, and Boston is back in the game. But that top line of Toronto continues to look good with Malte, Nurse, and Spooner with some great pressure, keeping it down low. Larocque keeps the puck in the zone. Eventually, it works its way over to Kelly Flanagan, who does a nice walk-in from the point and gets a shot through, and that goes in to restore Toronto's 3-goal lead. It's 4-1, and that's her first goal in the PWHL, and we'll never get tired of seeing that until every single player has scored their first goal. Never a bad idea just to put it on net. There was definitely a screen in front of Soderberg, and Flanagan is all smiles. And then Rattray with a tripping call. Toronto goes back to the power play. Boston puts on a pretty aggressive push trying to get that shorthanded goal, not only because they need a goal, but also to get her out of the penalty box. And sure enough, they just press and dig until it eventually does go to Hannah Brandt. Taylor Gerard put the shot across the crease. Same kind of goal as Rattray's almost, where a funny bounce goes up and the only one to find it is Brandt. So Rattray comes out of the penalty box, and that's great news for Boston with still time in the game and only down by 2. Gerard over to Keller, up and over to Brandt, who puts that one home. And Courtney Kessel decides to pull Emma Soderberg a little bit early, just over 3 minutes left in the game. But the puck immediately starts going the other way, and Toronto's looking for that empty net goal to put this thing out of reach. Spooner in there digging for it, Gigi Marvin, and it comes loose. Spooner says, "I've got this." "No, I don't have this, but let's just kill some more clock." They send it back in deep. Malte's looking for it. Nurse is looking for it. They decide to just keep it safely in the corner. Comfer is trying to dig it out. And it eventually does come to Comfer, who throws it at the empty net, but kind of goes off the post, and Spooner is more or less forced to poke it in. So that's her hat-trick goal. She looks almost apologetic. And it more or less goes off the post, and who's there to poke it in but Spooner? That is a hat trick. Sure, it's an empty net goal, but, it took some effort. She worked hard for it. She made the right plays, and she got the bounces. Definitely give thanks to Comfer for that one, but that's a huge goal, and that is your leading goal scorer. 10 goals and 1 assist right now for Spooner. And then Toronto can't breathe easy as Boston does continue to pour on a little bit of pressure, and Taylor Gerard puts home a nice goal here. High shot against Kristen Campbell, who played well overall, but you've got to keep things tidy. If this game had been closer, that would have been a huge turning point. They go for the empty net again, but can't make it happen, and that's a huge 3 points for Toronto. Overall, a great effort all the way around. Their 3rd win in a row, and climb themselves right back into the standings. And, of course, our player of the game is going to be Natalie Spooner with the hat trick. Beautiful breakaway goal, beautiful kind of self-effort goal, and then just a nice tidy effort on that empty net goal, and a big, big win. Not a bad game for Boston, but they definitely came up short, and we'll get a look at the player that they traded away when we check out the next game in line, Minnesota and Ottawa.